Welcome back into NFL in a Flash here on Sports Radio, WNML.com. With Joel Silverberg, I am Eric Kane, and time to take a look back at Week 3 of the NFL season. Joel, another big win for the Tennessee Titans on the road, going against the reigning divisional champs, Jacksonville Jaguars. Down Marcus Mariota, who had to come in relief. Still no Jack Conklin, but a huge divisional win, their second one in a row at the Jaguars.
Yeah, big win for Tennessee and a big game with Jacksonville coming off a big win over New England the week before. I think it's the most complete we've seen Tennessee's defense play in the last 2 seasons, where Tennessee's defense was a lot of bend and don't break and a lot of close wins a year ago. It was like that a lot against Houston last week. Wasn't like that against Jacksonville. They didn't let Jacksonville get into a rhythm. Blake Bortles didn't have his best day, and I know that Leonard Fournette wasn't there, but in the past, they had never lost without Leonard Fournette. They had been successful in games where Fournette isn't there before. So I don't know if you can attribute the whole thing to Fournette's absence. Tennessee's defense played really well and played exceptionally well in third and short situations too.
Tennessee's defense limited Blake Bortles and Jacksonville to only 232 yards of total offense. In the National Football League, that's a win every single time. It was kind of a battle of field goals. Neither offense was at its best, but Tennessee does pick up that win. And moving forward now, Tennessee's 2-0 in the division. They're 2-1 overall. The biggest surprise when you look at the AFC South is Houston falling to 0-3. They're winless. Jacksonville now 2-1, and Indianapolis 1-2. When you look at this division now, what's your takeaways nearly a quarter of the way through the season?
I think every team's still competitive. Houston, it's 3 one-score losses. Jacksonville, a field goal loss to Tennessee. Tennessee, a season-opening loss by only a touchdown to Miami. Indianapolis played a really tight game with the defending Super Bowl champs in Philadelphia. And then remember, in their season opener, they were driving down to potentially take the lead late in that game against Cincinnati, and then a defensive touchdown made it a 2-score game. So you can make the argument that no AFC South team has yet to lose a 2-score game yet, with an asterisk next to that Indianapolis season opener. I think also for Tennessee, you mentioned it, the offense needs to get going, because really you've gone 2 consecutive weeks where you haven't led a pure touchdown drive. No touchdowns on Sunday against Jacksonville. The week before, you scored on a fake punt and then on a touchdown drive that started on your own 44 because of a missed field goal. Tennessee's offense needs to get going and put together some real touchdown drives moving forward.
Staying in this division, Andrew Luck coming back from injury, hadn't played in nearly 2 seasons. Deshaun Watson coming off the torn ACL. So far into the new campaigns, where do you rate these quarterbacks, and do you think that they're still continuing to get back to where they were?
I think Andrew Luck is. I think we've seen him be smart in the pocket. He's been a little bit safer. The fact that they threw Jacoby Brissett out there to throw the last Hail Mary, that makes me wonder just how strong his arm still is. But he can still manage that offense, and he can still play really good football. Deshaun Watson, I think, needs to find a rhythm, because sure, we saw flashes of brilliance from him last year. Didn't play in that many games overall, so now he still has to get back into that rhythm. And this Houston team around him is not as great as it would seem. He's got guys at the skill position players, but it's not the best roster in the AFC South. I think Blake Bortles really seems to play to the level of his competition at times. He's got receivers that can help him, but they didn't help him out a lot in the loss to Tennessee. So I think you've got a lot of guys that are in the middle of the pack with a couple of guys that could have higher ceilings. I think Andrew Luck has the highest ceiling. I think Deshaun Watson can be up there. He's not showing it right now. I think Andrew Luck is probably the most established quarterback in the AFC South at this point.
Elsewhere around the National Football League, rookie quarterbacks taking the scene by storm. Of course, Sam Darnold started from day one. Josh Allen making his second start. Baker Mayfield came off the bench, led the Browns to their first win in 19 tries. Now he is the starter. Josh Rosen getting the nod now after coming in relief for Arizona on Sunday as well. And so 4 of the 5 quarterbacks drafted in the first round that are quarterbacks are now starters in the National Football League. When you look at this group this season, which one do you think is in the best position to have success?
I think right now it's probably Baker Mayfield. I know Sam Darnold had a great debut, but I think the Jets still have some things to work out, and the Browns do too. But with who Baker Mayfield is within the organization already, I think the team, the chemistry kind of works around him a little bit better. Josh Rosen does not have a lot of protection. Arizona is really struggling out of the gate here, and it seems like we're not even talking about them just because of how irrelevant they are. So we're talking more about other 0-3 teams to start the season. We're not talking about a team like Arizona. I think with Sam Darnold, you still need a little bit more. I think he can be really good. Josh Rosen, it's just a matter of he has nothing around him. So at this point, I would probably say Baker Mayfield, because I think he's got chemistry with the skill position players around him. The team is not great by any means, but if you're talking about 4 or 5 wins after an 0-16 season, winning 1 game the previous 2 years, that'll get fans in Cleveland really excited about the future of Baker Mayfield.
When you look at Cleveland, when you look at New York, I think they have better defenses than that of Buffalo, that of Arizona. I think they've got a little bit more skilled players on the perimeter. So I think Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold is certainly off to a better start. And I would have to agree with you. Baker Mayfield, I think with Landry, the dynamic in the backfield and kind of that team chemistry and everything rallying around Baker Mayfield, that his aroma, I guess, I think he's off to have a nice little rookie season, maybe even a rookie of the year. We'll have to see. Time for our weekend playmaker of the NFL Week 3, and for me, Joel, it's Calvin Ridley and the Atlanta Falcons. He had 9 receptions, nearly 180 yards receiving, and 3 touchdowns. Steve Sarkisian's been, blown up in recent weeks about his red zone inefficiencies, but it looked like Atlanta put that behind them. Still lost in a shootout, but Calvin Ridley certainly off to the races in his rookie year. What about you?
I'm actually going to go with the rookie quarterback that we didn't really mention yet, and that's Josh Allen for Buffalo. They were huge underdogs, 17-point underdogs against Minnesota after 2 embarrassing losses to open the season, and Josh Allen went out and had a great performance. It might be a flash in the pan. I don't know what to really expect with this Buffalo team moving forward, but they had a really nice week 3, a huge win. They stomped Minnesota, ran all over them, and Josh Allen got it done through the air. He made plays with his legs, threw a touchdown to VFL Jason Kroom, so that's a nice moment as well, but I'll go with Josh Allen because that's a nice rookie moment. That's probably I realize Baker Mayfield coming off the bench and leading Cleveland to its first win in a couple of seasons is a big deal. But for me, I think Josh Allen had the nicest rookie moment of the weekend going against a team like Minnesota. A lot of teams have as the NFC champion this year and just pounding them. I thought it was really nice for the youngster out of Wyoming.
27 points scored in the first half for Buffalo. What an upset over the Minnesota Vikings as well. 3 weeks are in the books in the National Football League. 14 more weeks to go. That was a look back at Week 3 here on NFL in a Flash. He's Joel Silverberg. I'm Eric Kane. We'll be back next week right here on Sports Radio WNML.